Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
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 Bandhamuni Savardhana Mate
Bandhan Modi Savadana Mate
Bandhamuni Savardhana Mate
Bandhan Modi Savadana Mate
Yahara Prasade Vai He Baba Turiya Jai
Yahara Prasade Pai Eva Toria Jai
Yahara Prasade Vai He Baba Turiya Jai
Yahara Prasade Pai Eva Toria Jai
Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite
Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite
Krishna Prapti
Hari Bol.
Hoite
Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Koriya Aikya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Koriya Aikya
Arna koi ho mane aasha
Airana Kori Mane Asha
Arna koi
Hari
ho
Bol.
mane aasha
Airana Kori Mane Asha
Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Gati
Guru Charane Rati Esse Utama Kati
Ye prasad pure sarvo asha.
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Asha
Ye prasad pure sarvo asha.
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Asha
Chakudana dilote, jame jame Prabhu se.
चक्षुदान दिलाए जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
Chakudana dilote, jame jame Prabhu se.
चक्षुदान दिलाए जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
Vivekyan hide prakasita.
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशिता
Vivekyan hide prakasita.
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशिता
Prema Bhaktiya hote avidai vinashayate.
Prema Bhaktiya te avidya vinashayate
Prema Bhaktiya hote avidai vinashayate.
Prema Bhaktiya te avidya vinashayate
Vinega hai jahara charita.
Vedagaya hara charito
Vinega hai jahara charita.
Vedagaya hara charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Nara Bandhu Karuna Sindhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Nara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Oh Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho More Pada Chaya Prabhu Koro Doya Deho More Pada Chaya Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho More Pada Chaya Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho More Pada Chaya Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho More Pada Chaya Ebe Ashushu Tribhuvana Ebe Ashushu Tribhuvana Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Shila Guru Dev. Guru Dev, Jaya Shila Guru Dev. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine.
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Nitai Sachinandana, Nitai Sachinandana, Nitai Sachinandana, Gaura Hari.
Jaya Nita Satinandana, Nita Satinandana, Nita Satinandana,
Together.
Gauri.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Ba, Hari Ba, Hari Ba, Nitai Gaur Hari Ba. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakarya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakarya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shvasari Gaur Bhakta Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Matra Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, so Mataji will read each line of Jai Radha Madhava twice, and we'll just do the same rotation, okay?
Okay.
Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Vairadhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Vairadhari
Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Brajachanarandana
Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajachanarandana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajachanarandana
Nandana Jaya Brajachanarandana
Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunda Bihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunda Bihari
Hare Krishna together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shout, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Prema Vardhana Das Prabhu ki
Jai.
jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much for the nice ecstatic kirtan and the bhajan, Jai Radha Madhava. Thank you so much to the youth and Mataji. I'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers to receive the mercy of the previous acharyas and all the Gurudevs. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagalpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So okay, I will also chant the verses we usually do before the Bhagavatam, speaking Bhagavatam. I'm just forgetting the first verse. Can someone remind me the first verse before Nashta Prayeshu?
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Which one?
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so foolish. I just forgot for a minute. Thank you. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayel Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. So the verse which we are reading today is 1921. I'll share the screen. 1921. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarvalpmana Samadrisho Hi Advayasyanaham Krite Talkritam Mativaishamyam Niravadyasya Nakvatil. Sarvalpmana Samadrisho Hi Advayasyanaham Krite Talkritam Mativaishamyam Niravadyasya Nakvatil. Sarvalpmana Samadrisho Hi Advayasyanaham Krite Talkritam Mativaishamyam Niravadyasya Nakvatil. So any devotees would like to chant?
Sarvata samadrishyo hai advaisyana krute tatkrutam mati vaisamyam niravadyasya nakvachit.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else?
Sarvatmana samadrisho hi advayasya naham krite tatkritam ativesham yam niravadyasya na kvachid.
Thank you, Mataji. One more, if you could, anybody?
Sarvatmanastamadrisho yadvayasyanaham krite tatkritam mativaishamyam niravadisya na kvachet.
Thank you, Prabhu. So I'll read the synonyms word by word, meaning Sarva Atmanaha, of one who is present in everyone's heart. Samadrishaha, of one who is equally kind to one and all. He certainly, Advayasya, of the absolute, Anahankrite, free from all material identity of false ego. Talkritam, everything done by him. Mati, consciousness. Vaishamyam, differentiation. Niravadyasya, freed from all attachment. Na, never. Kvachit, at any stage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: being the absolute personality of Godhead, He is present in everyone's heart. He is equally kind to everyone, and He is free from the false ego of differentiation. Therefore, whatever He does is free from material inebriety. He is equibalanced. Purport: because He is absolute, there is nothing different from Him. He is Kaivalya, there is nothing except Himself. Everything and everyone is the manifestation of His energy, and thus He is present everywhere by His energy, being non-different from it. The sun is identified with every inch of the sun rays and every molecular particle of the rays. Similarly, the Lord is distributed by His different energies. He is Paramatma, or the Super Soul, present in everyone as the supreme guidance, and therefore He is already the chariot driver and counsel of all living beings. When He therefore exhibits Himself as chariot driver of Arjuna, there is no change in His exalted position. It is the power of devotional service only that demonstrates Him as the chariot driver or the messenger. Since He has nothing to do with the material conception of life, because He is absolute spiritual identity, there is for Him no superior or inferior action. Being the absolute personality of Godhead, He has no false ego, and so He does not identify Himself with anything different from Him. It's very interesting. He does not identify Himself with anything different from Him. The material conception of ego is equibalanced in Him. He does not feel, therefore, inferior by becoming the chariot driver of his pure devotee. It is the glory of the pure devotee that only he can bring about service from the affectionate Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, another very interesting verse, prayer from glorification from Bhishma Dev. So, in this verse, there are many sections which has got enough details, but I will try to speak something within my capacity and which is inspired. So the first thing here described is He is, of course, He is the absolute personality of Godhead. The whole thing is based on absolute nature of Krishna. So everything is Him in one sense, but He's not attached to the material world or the modes of nature. It's inconceivable for our material intelligence, at least for me. And it's described here that He is present in everyone's heart. So that way He is there in everyone's heart, even in every atom He is there. So that is one of His only glories. Nobody else can claim that, I am present in everyone's heart. Only Krishna can claim. And that way He doesn't have any false ego. And He is equally kind to everyone. So this is one of the most important quality of Krishna. He is equally kind to everyone, and we will discuss that aspect a little bit today. And He is free from the false ego of differentiation. So for me, I am an individual. I cannot claim I am present in everyone's heart and I know everything. I cannot claim that. But then I cannot do anything without the mercy and support of the personality of Godhead sitting in my heart as super soul. But because of the material identification, I have the false ego. That is a starting point before we get a material body. And due to that false ego, I may think that I'm doing this, I'm doing that, etc., etc. But then Krishna doesn't have that issue because he is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead. He is a source of everything, and he doesn't have any other source. So he doesn't need to, feel like I'm doing this or someone else, because everything is part and parcel of him. And therefore, whatever he does is free from material inebriety, and which is very obvious. And he is equibalanced also. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions many things. One is everything and everyone is a manifestation of his energy. So we cannot find anything which is not in relation with Krishna. So it is described that there are only two things in this whole creation, or even in the spiritual or material world: Krishna and Krishnas. So everything belongs to him. We cannot find anything which doesn't have a connection with Krishna. And the example given is very simple example, analogy for us to understand. The sun is identified with every inch of the sun rays and every molecular particle of the rays. So we cannot see the sun rays separate from the sun, the personality sun God. But the sun rays are distributed and it is transformed into multiple energies, and that energies are used to maintain this world to some extent. And again, sun is also part and parcel of Krishna, but the analogy here describes sun as Krishna and his rays and molecular parts are everything else in this world. And this chariot driver of Arjuna, so before that Prabhupada mentions he is already the chariot driver and counsel of all living beings, because he is sitting in our heart and then driving. Bhagavad Gita, another verse describes that. He sits in our heart and then he is driving all our activities. Of course, depending on our desire and depending on our attitude towards Krishna, it can differ, but he is there for all of us. But Krishna, in the past time, he also became the chariot driver of Arjuna, but that doesn't mean he is under Arjuna. That is not the meaning. Prabhupada is clarifying that here. He still holds his exalted position as a supreme personality of Godhead. Then how come he became the chariot driver of Arjuna? Because Krishna chose to become the chariot driver of Arjuna because of the devotion of Arjuna towards Krishna, because of the love and affection of Arjuna towards Krishna. That is the only way to control Krishna in that sense. Otherwise, Krishna cannot be controlled. Ajita, right? So it's described in the last sentence. He does not feel inferior by becoming the chariot driver of his pure devotee. And of course, devotee also doesn't feel that Krishna is inferior to me because he is my chariot driver. Arjuna never felt that. Otherwise, Arjuna will not go to Krishna for instruction. And then Arjuna followed Krishna's instruction while Krishna is continuing his, support to Arjuna as the chariot driver. Now, it is the glory of the pure devotee that only he can bring about service from the affectionate Lord. Again, pure devotee never wish to accept service from Krishna, but out of affection, Krishna is serving the devotee back. We can see that from many pastimes of Krishna. Krishna with gopis, Krishna with Vrajavasis, Krishna with Nanda Maharaj, Krishna with Sudama Brahman. All these cases we can see that Krishna is serving his pure devotee back. It is just a loving reciprocation between Krishna and the devotee. Nobody can make a different meaning out of it, telling, oh, Krishna is like us, he is becoming servant of somebody else, so he is not the supreme. No, that doesn't make sense. So Prabhupada is claiming that here in this purport. So we will see some of these qualities of Krishna, which is mentioned in the scriptures. In Krishna is present in everyone's heart. So there is a famous verse, Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedasya sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavideva chaham. So I am seated in everyone's heart. Krishna is mentioning that to Arjuna. And also he mentions, from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So everything comes from him. Even if I am able to remember something, that is only by Krishna's mercy. And Krishna can make things forgetful to me. So in the beginning, I forgot the Narayanam Namaskritya verse. Every time we chant, I used to chant and devotees chant before speaking Bhagavatam. I don't know, somehow I forgot because it's not in my control. Now Krishna has had some plan to reduce my pride or things like that. Many lessons it's his kindness also. We will talk about that also. So, and remembrance, I was able to chant by the mercy of another devotee, and I'm able to remember many things only by the mercy of Krishna. And the knowledge which we are getting is only by the mercy of Krishna. Now Krishna can choose to give this knowledge to this person and that knowledge to that person. It's all in his control. And by all the Vedas, I am to be known. That's what Krishna is telling. So the study of Vedas, again, is not to show that I know these verses from the Vedic scriptures and I can chant this with nice pronunciation. That's good, but that is not the idea of learning Vedas. It is just to understand who Krishna is and apply that knowledge and develop the relationship, the lost relationship with Krishna. And Krishna speaks further in that verse, I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. So he knows complete Vedic knowledge because it comes from him. And in another verse in 10th chapter, 20th verse also, Krishna tells, I am seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. So, and he repeats this particular aspect in many verses. And famous Chatushloki verse 10:11, he speaks, I'm to show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts. So Krishna is there in the heart and destroyed with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna's position is very, very unique. And I read this from Chaitanya Charan Das, very interesting sentence. He writes many such sentences to inspire millions of people. One of the sentences is, everyone is equal in God's eyes, but God is not equal in everyone's eyes. For Krishna, as mentioned here, he is equally kind to everyone. Every living entity is equal in Krishna's eyes. But unfortunately, by the material entanglement, different people see Krishna differently. Some people see Krishna as God. Some people see Krishna as some mystical person who came here 5,000 plus years ago and showed some mystical power. So he had some power, that's all they know. But they did not accept him as supreme. And some people, recent people, they don't even believe that Krishna exists. God doesn't exist. Krishna is just a fake character, etc., etc. I know many people also, they think like that. So many people have different concepts about God, but Krishna doesn't have any confusion. He's equally ready to give mercy to any person, any living entity. Now, how the living entity receive the mercy depends on the disposition of the living entity. So how we are approaching Krishna, in similar way, to the same degree, Krishna will approach us back. But Krishna is merciful to everyone. It is like we can sunlight is there everywhere, but if somebody is shutting their windows and doors and sitting inside a dark room, they cannot complain that I'm not getting any sunshine. sun is really cruel. Why sun is not giving me sunshine? Because the person did not choose to open the windows or go out and accept or receive the sunshine. So that's how Krishna's mercy is there for everyone. In verse 29 of 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks this one: I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. So the same principle. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So now there are two things spoken here. One is Krishna is not partial to anyone. He is equal to all. But then he speaks that if somebody is rendering service in devotion out of love, affection to him, he is a friend and he is in me and I am also a friend to him. Now, Krishna doesn't have a problem becoming a friend to any living entity. The problem is for the living entity. If I want to be a friend of Krishna, Krishna is ready. He is a friend. But then if I don't want to develop a friendship with Krishna, then Krishna respects my desire. Then he will, he will not interfere with my activities. But as soon as I am ready to be closer to Krishna a little bit, then he will come that much closer to me. Again, he will not interfere too much unless I would allow. So that is Krishna's kindness. And we can see that from the scriptures, many pastimes, and he is approaching or he is having pastimes with many devotees in different ways. Of course, there are these 5 different primary rasas: the dasya, sakhya, the servitor mood, friendship, then parental mood, conjugal, etc. Right? And Krishna has a different way of interacting with different devotees within the devotees. But with demons, he has a different approach, because demons want, they're inimical to Krishna, so they want to fight with Krishna. So Krishna is ready to do that. And then there are other people, they are neutral, they are just accepting the Brahman effulgence. They don't accept that Supreme Personality has, they don't accept the personality or personality of the Godhead. They just think that, everything is God, that's all. There is no form for the God. So Krishna reciprocates in that way to that person or persons. And this equality is described in another place in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 41, verse 47. When Krishna and Balaram enters Mathura from Vrindavan, they will meet with different people. So one of those fortunate person was florist Sudama, not the Sudama Brahman, but another Sudama, florist. So he glorifies Krishna and Balaram. So one of the verse which describes the glorification of Sudama is like this: because you are the well-wishing friends and supreme soul of the whole universe, you regard all with unbiased vision, equality. Therefore, although you reciprocate your devotees' loving worship, you always remain equally disposed toward all living beings. So this is very clear, even though it could be confusing. You reciprocate your devotees' loving worship, you always remain equally disposed toward all living beings. Now, equally disposed depends on our disposition towards Krishna. Otherwise, from his side, he is equal. And even Kunti's prayers, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-28, she speaks, "My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone." So many pure devotees hold upon this quality of Krishna. You are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. So that's what Mother Kunti is also telling. We can see also from Mahabharat pastime. So before the war, when Arjuna and Duryodhana approached Krishna to get something, right? So Krishna was ready to favor both. Krishna did not think like, Krishna did not plan ahead of time that, okay, this much is for Arjuna, this, whatever these special things, and this much is for Duryodhana. He did not make any plan like that. He just gave the options to them. He asked both Arjuna and Duryodhana, what would you like? And of course, Duryodhana was greedy to get his army, and he got the chance to speak first. So Duryodhana asked for Krishna's army without knowing the position of Krishna as a supreme controller. But Arjuna, as his pure devotee, told Krishna, I just need you. I don't need anything else. Knowing that, having Krishna means he has got everything else too. But Krishna did not, chose to do that way. Krishna did not tell Duryodhana that I cannot come with you. If you want, you can take my army. He did not tell that. Or he did not tell Arjuna that, you can get only me, not my army. No. He gave the free will option. And Arjuna as a devotee chose Krishna. That's what devotees do. And Duryodhana wanted Krishna's things. And we know the outcome of that, of course. So that way, this quality of kindness is distributed to each and every living being, but depending on their disposition. So we can see that Krishna is kind to the demons. Why and how? He kills the demons. And what happens when he kills a demon, the demon, that living entity, is liberated from this material platform. At least liberated, but then depends on the living entity's disposition again, whether to go beyond that liberation, Brahman liberation, to the service to Krishna, or he can fall down back to the material world. But Krishna at least removes all the sinful reactions and liberates the demon. That is a mercy. And if somebody is neutral to him, not inimical, not devoted, but thinks that, there is no Krishna existing anyway, it's all God, I am God, you are God, those personalities, Krishna, will step back, he will not disturb them. But Krishna will send his representative to give the real absolute knowledge, and then give them an opportunity to understand Krishna, Krishna's supreme position, Krishna is a person, etc. And then make them voluntarily accept Krishna, and then Krishna will start reciprocating more. So we can see even present days, many devotees mention that I used to have this impersonal conception of God. And then when I met Srila Prabhupada's followers, when I got a book from Srila Prabhupada, or a book translated by Srila Prabhupada, when I read that, then I got this understanding. That is Krishna's kindness. Because Krishna knew that, these persons, they will not accept me. They deride me, my form, etc. We have Bhagavad Gita speaks all those things. And so that if I go directly to them, they will not, accept me. So let me send my representative. And they are more kind than Krishna himself. And Srila Prabhupada came here, many acharyas came here, they gave the literatures, they demonstrated how to execute bhakti. And by their mercy, many people who were neutral, they became Krishna's devotees, and they became pure devotees also, many of them. So that is Krishna's kindness towards them. And to the devotees, especially pure devotees, Krishna reciprocates with complete love. But the form of love can differ. The love is there. Externally, we may feel like, Krishna is giving difficulties to this person. We can see Pandavas, Mother Kunti, they all went through a lot of difficulties. That was Krishna's kindness. That's why Mother Kunti prayed, give me more and more difficulties. Because when I am going through such difficulties, I'm sure that Krishna is with us. So that way I get more association of Krishna, and I will no longer come back to this spiritual world. Of course, she's humble. That's why she's praying like that. She's already in that platform. But as sadhakas, practicing devotees, Krishna Krishna will give sufferings. Krishna will make us go through some difficult situations, challenging situations, so that we can be purified, and also we can take shelter of Krishna more and more. So he's, in some sense, he's giving more opportunities for us to take his shelter by giving very difficulties. All these pandemic time which we are going through these days, since more than a year, many devotees were able to increase their devotional services, activities, chanting, reading, sharing, discussing, and absorbing more in Krishna. And especially if somebody is going through the disease, or if someone's dear ones are going through the difficult times, then their interaction with Krishna is more increased very much. So recently, one practicing devotee was sharing with me that her uncle, now she is in US and her uncle is back in India, and he got some cancer, I think serious cancer issues, and she was just asking me, how can I help him to remember Krishna? And she also told that he is very much against bhakti process itself, not only Krishna but bhakti process itself. So it is very difficult. So I just suggested that maybe we can pray to Krishna that give some intelligence to this person so he can at least do a little bit of at least listen to what you are speaking, or change the heart, things like that. And then later she shared that this person also, he was admitted to the hospital and he got COVID-19 disease, on top of his terminal disease. Now that made him suffer too much. And of course, she was, I think, talking to the person, her uncle, often, maybe daily, I don't know, or probably couple of more, few days every week or so. And then she got the opportunity to go to the temple, and there was arati going on. So she, took the courage to switch on the video WhatsApp call and showed him the deities while arati is going on. And then, since he was suffering too much, he was, inclined to receive that opportunity. And then he shared with her, all the gratitude for showing me this, and he was ready to listen a little bit. Of course, she did not speak philosophy, I'm sure, but these are the deities and things like that. So that is Krishna's kindness. It came through a devotee, of course, because the person was very much inimical. And then I got a message today that yesterday he left his body. So he must have got some, devotional credits just by having that little interaction with his relative who is a devotee. Now, who knows, Krishna might have given him that very, very tough situation just so that in the next life he can become a better devotee, or a devotee actually. So that is Krishna's kindness to his devotees, not only devotees, but the relatives of or friends of devotees are also receiving mercy like this. Now we see that Bhishma Dev is appreciating the mercy of Krishna, even though Krishna is on the other side of the battle and they have all this battle. So beautifully, Bhishma Dev had this realization of reciprocation of Krishna. This is Krishna's love towards me, and all the arrows I am throwing towards him, he is taking as flowers, etc., etc. Right. So I'm not going to those details. Devotees will speak more on those in the coming up verses. But when Krishna killed Putana, which is very celebrated pastime, we all know that Putana got the extreme mercy of Krishna. Even though Putana is one of the demons sent by Kamsa, but Putana got special mercy. And in Bhagavatam, verse 23 of chapter 2 from canto 3, so 3 to 23, the famous verse, Aho Bakiyam. So that verse, I'll just read the translation, very beautiful translation. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the possession of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. So in the purport, I'll read a couple of lines, very interesting. Prabhupada writes, the Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward. That is the standard of his character, Krishna's character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter? So Krishna is not looking for, this disqualification, etc. Because he is sitting in everyone's hearts. He knows, what is the qualification of this person, that person, etc. And he is not interested in that, but he is looking for the least qualification. A little bit of service this person is doing, then let me reciprocate to the maximum extent to that. So Putana got the mercy of becoming a maid servant of Mother Yashoda, so assisting Mother Yashoda in serving Krishna in the spiritual world. And what is the reason? Putana acted. For her, the intention was to kill, not to serve Krishna, but she acted as his mother for a small duration of time. She took the form of a nice, beautiful gopi, and she came to the Braja area, Braja Dham, and took baby Krishna in her lap and allowed Krishna to suck her breast milk, even though there was deadly poison. Of course, Krishna is beyond all this material stuff, so it did not affect him. So he could have simply killed Putana, but he killed Putana, also gave her a position in the spiritual world, not the Brahman, liberation, but gave the best position. She could not even imagine that, but he gave. That is the kind of mercy flowing from Krishna. So the lesson for us is, we are not approaching Krishna in that inimical attitude, because we have knowledge about Krishna. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can know more about Krishna, and we know Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we are approaching him, at least trying to approach him with love, even though maturing that love takes a long time, at least for me. My heart is full of contamination. It has to be gradually removed by the process of chanting and hearing. But we have the opportunity to receive full mercy of Krishna. So I would like to read a little bit from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now there are many pastimes where Krishna is merciful to his pure devotees. Today is the disappearance day of Ramananda Rai, who is an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful than Krishna himself. Of course, Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he came in a different form with the mood of Srimati Radharani. He came as a devotee to demonstrate us how to execute devotional service. And we have this verse, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah. So he is most merciful. He is not looking for any qualification. Krishna at least demanded that surrender to me sarvadharman parityajya, then mamekam sharanam vraja, then aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. So if you surrender to me completely, then I will save you. But Mahaprabhu is not telling like that. He's not asking for anything, right? So Ramananda Rai is one of such associate of Mahaprabhu, and his disappearance day is celebrated today. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 8, there is a long description about the talk between Ramananda Raya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu was insisting Ramananda Raya to speak about the absolute truth. And then Mahaprabhu, his Lord himself, was enjoying this nice lecture from Ramananda Raya. But Ramananda Raya at the same time is so humble, and then he speaks very nicely. So there are several nice verses, but because of lack of time, I will read only a few verses. And then I would like to focus on one verse with a purport, very nice bhajan from Narottam Das Thakur is also there. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in the South India. So once he visited different places, and he was delivering many living entities, and he was, a long story. He reached the banks of Godavari once, and then he took bath. He started chanting and dancing, and suddenly he could see a nice, great personality. He's Ramanandaraya. He was coming there with many Brahmins following him. He came in a palanquin, and he also came to took bath. So Mahaprabhu, of course, he's omniscient. He knew this is Ramanandaraya, but to enhance the sweetness of the pastime, so he will. So I will read the verse, which is. Let me just take the verse for a moment. Yeah, so I'll share this so you can also see what I'm reading. So I read from here. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that the person who had come to bathe in the river was Ramanandaraya. The Lord wanted so much to meet him that his mind immediately began running after him. Although his mind immediately began running after him, he did not run. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running after him mentally, he patiently remained sitting. Ramanandaraya, seeing the wonderful sannyasi, then came to see him. Srila Ramanandaraya then saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be as brilliant as 100 suns. The Lord was covered by a saffron garment. He was large in body and very strongly built, and his eyes were like lotus petals. When Ramanandaraya saw the wonderful sannyasi, he was struck with wonder. He went to him and immediately offered his respectful obeisances, falling down flat like a roll. The Lord stood up and asked Ramanandaraya to arise and chant the holy name of Krishna. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to embrace him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired whether he was Ramanandaraya, even though he knew. And he replied, Ramanandaraya replied, yes, I am your very low servant, and I belong to the Shudra community. That is his humility. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Sri Ramanandaraya very firmly. Indeed, both the master and the servant almost lost consciousness due to ecstatic love. That is his mercy, right? Krishna is embracing, Mahaprabhu is embracing someone. That means he is receiving a lot of mercy. Their natural love for each other was awakened in them both, and they embraced and fell to the ground. When they embraced each other, ecstatic symptoms, paralysis, perspiration, tears, shivering, paleness, and standing up of the bodily hairs appeared. The word Krishna came from their mouths falteringly. When the stereotyped ritualistic Brahmanas who were following the Vedic principles saw this ecstatic manifestation of love, they were struck with wonder. All these Brahmanas began to reflect as follows. The Brahmanas thought, we can see that this sannyasi has a luster like the effulgence of Brahman. But how is it he is crying upon embracing a Shudra, a member of the fourth caste in the social order? They all wondered how this sannyasi is feeling these kind of symptoms just by embracing a Shudra. They could not, put these two things together. Sannyasi, Shudra, how can they match? A sannyasi will not even look at a Shudra, right? So they don't realize the ecstatic love between the Lord and his devotee. They thought this Ramanandaraya is the governor of Madras, a highly learned and grave person, a Mahapandita, but upon touching this sannyasi, he has become restless like a madman. While the Brahmanas were thinking in this way about the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramanandaraya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw those outsiders and restrained his transcendental emotions, because he did not want to show these ecstatic symptoms because they are not able to understand. Now, as we know from the scriptures that Ramanandaraya is, in Krishna Lila, he is Vishakha. There are two versions, Lalita Devi or Vishakha Devi, but Prabhupada mentions that he is Vishakha Devi, who is intimate associate of Srimati Radharani. And Mahaprabhu is coming in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So we can imagine how they can have all these ecstatic symptoms. Again, it's mentioned that Ramanandara is a manifestation of Arjuna also. and Arjuna is a friend of Krishna. So that way also we can see why they're having these kind of pastimes. But these Brahmins, they couldn't understand. So Mahaprabhu stopped these transcendental emotions. And when they regained their saintly, they both sat down, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled. And when they regained their sanity, they both sat down, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and began to speak as follows. Now we can see, they are glorifying each other. Very, very sweet. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke of your good qualities, and he made a great endeavor to convince me to meet you. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke to Mahaprabhu before he travels that, go and meet this special person, Ramananda Raya. That's what Mahaprabhu is telling. Indeed, I have come here just to meet you. It is very good that even without making an effort, I have gotten your interview here. So Ramananda Raya replied, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya thinks of me as his servant. Even in my absence, he is very careful to do me good. By his mercy, I have received your interview here. Consequently, I consider that today I have become a successful human being. I can see that you have bestowed special mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Now we know the pastime Mahaprabhu brought him back to the personal service. He was an impersonalist, but because of the mercy of Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became a pure devotee. Therefore, you have touched me, although I am untouchable. This is due only to his love for you. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana himself, and I am only a government servant interested in materialistic activities. Indeed, I am the lowest among men of the fourth caste. You do not fear the Vedic injunction stating that you should not associate with a Shudra. You are not contemptuous of my touch, although in the Vedas you are forbidden to associate with Shudras. Now, as a sannyasi is forbidden to associate with Shudras, but Ramananda Rai knew Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality. And as we read from today's verse, no material inebriety. So Vedic injunctions state that Krishna will not be affected by any material, stuffs. So whether Shudra or Vaishya, it doesn't matter for Krishna, right? That's what he's telling. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, no one can understand your purpose. By your mercy, you are touching me, although this is not sanctioned by the Vedas. Now here, you have come here specifically to deliver me. You are so merciful that you alone can deliver all fallen souls. So this is verse 38. And this is the verse 38. In the purport, very, very nice purport, Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings in his Prarthana, the bhajan. This is a few lines. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Tomavina Ke Dayalu Jagata Samsare. Very famous bhajan. I'm sure we all know this bhajan. We have heard this many times. And these lines very, very important. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Na Paibe Ara. Patita Pavana. My dear Lord, please be merciful to me. Who can be more merciful than your Lordship? Within these three worlds, you appear as an incarnation just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls. But I assure you that you will not find a soul more fallen than me. Again, Narottam Das Thakur is not fallen. He's pure devotee, eternal associate, but he's taking the position of a humble servant. And he genuinely feels that that is his humility. But we can try to pray to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even if we don't pray, he's there for us. He's coming and giving Krishna Prema. But if we pray like this, the reception of that mercy will be more in depth. So, the purport goes beyond that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's specific mission is to deliver fallen souls. Of course, in this age of Kali, there is hardly anyone who is not fallen according to the calculations of Vedic behavior, meaning all living entities are fallen in this age of Kali. Very few rare personalities are there, but most of the persons. In his instructions to Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the so-called followers of Vedic religion in this way. Veda nishtha madhye ardheka veda mukhe na mane Veda nishiddha papa kare dharma nahi gane. so-called followers of Vedic principles simply accept the Vedas formally, but they act against Vedic principles. Now, people accept Vedas, but they do not understand the actual principle. Veda ishta sarvair ahamaiva vedyo, to know Krishna. And then without knowing the actual essence, they act against the Vedic principles. This is a symptomatic of this age of Kali. People claim to follow a certain type of religion, saying formally, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Christian, I am this or that, but actually no one follows the principles enunciated in religious scriptures. This is the disease of this age. Therefore, the merciful Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has simply advised us to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Iva Kevalam. And Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyatha. We know that verse. It confirms that in Kali Yuga, the only remedy, 3 times it's mentioned, that is very important. Only remedy is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Lord can deliver anyone and everyone, even though one may have fallen from the injunctions of revealed scriptures. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy. Consequently, he is known as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of fallen souls. Now, the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unlimited, as we all know. And here in this pastime, Srila Ramananda Raya is glorifying Mahaprabhu and mentioning that because of his mercy only he is being delivered, even though he is a pure devotee. And then in the purport we saw Narottam Das Thakur also repeats that kind of, takes that humble position. And what we can understand is whether we are qualified or not, we are all safe in the hands of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Ram. We just need to have a little faith, as Nityananda Ram speaks, a little faith, Shraddhavan. And having that attitude itself is enough. And with the instructions and shelter of spiritual master and the devotee association, we can all get the ultimate mercy of Sri Krishna Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just by hearing and chanting. So that is the ultimate kindness of Krishna. Now, as we discussed before, Krishna might test us. He may take us through different situations, this or that, good or bad situations in a material conception. But if we are able to hold on to the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna, with the help of devotees, of course, then we can receive the complete mercy of Krishna, and we can realize that yes, Krishna is kind to everyone, every living entity, not only to his devotees, but Krishna will reveal us that absolute truth, that Krishna is kind to all living entities. So I would like to stop here and see if any one of you have any realizations about this topic of kindness of Krishna. Please share that. Shri Shri Nitai Sachinandan Dev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prema Vardhana Prabhu, for a very nice presentation, and
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
speaking about Sri Ramananda Roy. Just a side comment, I remember when I heard a lecture from Prabhupada Maharaj on Sri Ramananda Roy, and Maharaj was making the point that if all devotees could speak like the way Sri Ramananda Roy spoke to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that this would be a very wonderful society. You know, Mahaprabhu appreciates, compliments Sri Ramananda Roy, that Sarvabhuma Bhattacharya told me such and such about you.
Yes.
Ramananda, you showed it. That's a very inspiring instruction of Vaishnava etiquette.
Thank you so much for that nice instruction, appreciating devotees and understanding their mercy.
I'm just repeating
towards us. Yeah.
I like the pastimes of Bhishma Pitama are very wonderful, and this verse is also very amazing. The one that you read today, how this kind of concept of like and dislike. I'm reminded of like that verse in 7.27, Icha Dvesha Samatena Dvanda Bharata.
Yeah.
I think trying to, since embodied souls, because of conditioning, also have like and dislike, and so we attribute that to Bhagwan as well. And it's a very hard conditioning for Jiva to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why I think in this verse, like you read, the idea that Sarva Atmana, that he is the soul of everyone, and therefore, Hridayananda Das Goswami Maharaj talks about this very nicely, that a primal feature of Lord is Samatvan, this equanimity feature, which kind of links to the Yeyatamam Prapadyante verse. So I guess it's just a big hang up that we all have about like, dislike, and then attributing that same quality onto the Lord. And not understanding that since he's Sarvatma, that's not present. How do you try to understand it? I mean, there are lots of explanations, but I think it's a pretty common perception amongst everyone.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. If he's in our heart, why he should dislike us? Yes.
Yeah, and I think to understand that, and then to understand the particular context of Bhishma Dev is trying to convey to Arjun, that just because he's your chariot driver doesn't change his position. This chapter is just like the prior chapter, so full of instructive realizations by surrendered devotees and both in great distress. So the opportunity to take greater shelter when you're in great distress.
Distress, right?
Very wonderful. Anyways, I'm rambling, but I really.
But yeah, thank you. Very, 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 very important points you mentioned, emphasized. Yeah.
How do you try to apply this in your own life?
Yeah, for me, I also have trouble accepting Krishna's equanimity, equal to all kindness. Due to my conditioned nature, I consider, oh Krishna, why he's doing this to me? And sometimes better realization. Sometimes it's ups and downs. And as you just mentioned, the faith is coming from the devotees like Bhishma Dev and Pandavas, and that is being emphasized by our spiritual masters and senior devotees, and Prabhupada himself, of course, they are following him. And hearing that, we get more faith. Yes, Krishna is. I have heard this many times from my spiritual master also, Ramapada Swami Maharaj. Krishna is so kind. Krishna is always kind. Never think that Krishna is not kind. Those words are giving us more faith. Of course, we have to keep that hearing process up. That way we feel as soon as we move away, then situations come, it will fluctuate. But we know the remedy, keep hearing and hearing. So I like that aspect. That's why I wanted to emphasize that way. Hopefully I will get more realization about Krishna's unconditional kindness, even by giving distress or so-called distress or good times in our life with this material body.
Yes, I heard something very nice on Janmadi Asya Yataha, where Gauranga Prabhu, as you know, that verse carries a lot of similarity. Nitya Nityanam.
Yeah.
But his very wonderful point was that Krishna is so kind that he's created this material world. Creation simply as an act of kindness for us who have this desire to be in the material world, and that he's patiently waiting for infinite time, for infinite trillions upon trillions of souls
Yeah.
to turn back towards him. That, you know, this is the magic of Krishna's creation, that he knows that we'll be happier in a particular situation, but his intense kindness is there in the creation that we're inhabiting right now. So yes, like you said, to kind of continuously remind ourselves of Krishna's kindness and his grace is so vital in spiritual life. We need to hear that a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that. Would anybody else like to have say anything, or questions, comments, reflections? It gives the speaker enthusiasm when they hear questions, comments, reflections, and also has, that's how Srila Prabhupada taught us that we should think scrutinizingly. Hearing is an active process. So we all are very elevated devotees.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this is wonderful explanation about Ramanandacharya. I heard first time. It is very, very wonderful enlightenment of the Krishna, and it is very good to hear me. I am very happy. Very thank you to Prema Vardhana Dasji, Prabhuji. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Your lectures are always very enlightening and very beautiful, very nicely presented. Thank you. It's always nice to hear from you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prema Vardhana Prabhu
So I think
is in India. So I would request everyone to pray for Prabhu and his family. Thankfully, due to the grace of Krishna, things are, I think, getting a little bit better, but still, a sensitive situation requiring some hopeful continual approval. So I'm sure he would appreciate if all of you can remember.
Thank you. Please. Yeah.
Rasachita Mataji and Kalyani and family there. So thank you, Prema Vardhana Prabhu. I always look forward.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
At any time.
Krishna Vibhyo Namo Namah.
Please convey our
Hare Krishna.
wonderful family.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.